Building and painting miniatures is no easy thing, but we can draw inspiration from a wide variety of sources. This can come in the form of other people's armies, artwork that we see, or even the games that we play. But if there's one thing that I've learnt from studying art in school, it's that nothing works quite like a primary source. So join me today as we unlock the 4 painting secrets that you need to know, and we'll do it using this. This is Cursed Crusader Arts. When I began this freebooters kill rig project, I was holding the Squig and found that it fit quite snugly in my hand. Now it might sound weird, but I could feel every shape of the model. The round cylindrical shape that gets narrower at one end and then flattens at the other. And then I had a sudden realization. This Squig is a potato. So, here is a potato. Specifically a sweet potato. You can already see the comparison between the two for the general shape. So now I want you to focus on the smaller shapes. This helps us build the silhouette of the figure so that it's easily identifiable as the Squig for the kill rig. Looking at these is going to show us how to address the shapes on the model, like the spine, ribs and core muscles. I want you to remember these similarities because as we unlock the other painting secrets, you will need to refer back to this foundation. Talking about damage this early might seem a little strange, especially as we haven't got any paint on, but it's a critical component of our wargaming miniatures that dictates how we'll end up painting it. Some of you might remember just how heavily I scratched up the armour of my Dark Angels, to the point even a few of you thought that I'd overdone it. But in the end, most of it was filled up by the paint, making the armour look damaged, but not shredded. Looking back to the Squig, I'm not going to add extra damage this time. But instead, we can focus on the damage that's already there. There are warts and lumps all over the place in small clusters that rise up out of the flesh. This is all normal battle damage, but then we have the more severe things. This glyph has been deliberately carved into the flesh by its orcish masters, removing the layers of skin to expose the raw meat beneath. And then there are the armour plates, bolted directly into the meat of the legs and head. When we look at our humble potato, we can see or simulate similar kinds of damage. There are so many imperfections on this vegetable, deep pits where the potato has become damaged after being harvested. But I want you to ask yourself, have I learnt anything today? Is this giving me ideas of how to improve my painting? If the answer is yes, then like the video and subscribe for more. Oh, and watch until the end of the video so that you can see the secret tip that's locked away at the end. Alright, let's finally get down to painting the Squig. We know that there are many different kinds of Squigs, and that they can come in all kinds of shapes, sizes, and colours. As we're studying this sweet potato, it makes sense to try and paint it using similar colours. I'll begin by priming with Chaos Black, and then work the colours up with layers of Mournfang Brown, then Deathclaw Brown, and finally a mix of Kislev Flesh and Fire Dragon Bright. Now we need depth and variation in our model. I use a heavy wash of Seraphim Sepia and Caribou Crimson mixed together, and this is going to set the stage for us adding details to the skin of the miniature. This is where we go back to the foundation set out by the first secret that we unlocked. Then look at the damage again. The washes will have naturally settled in all of the deeper areas of the model and stained the higher surfaces, giving you some clues as where to begin highlighting the model. But if you use the tricks that we unlocked earlier, you could be more specific. Now when you add your next layers of paint, thin it down and glaze it over the surface, but only where you need it. As your paints get brighter, you'll begin to build contrast between the higher and lower areas of the model. Now you can see that the muscle groups are clearly defined, the ribs can be seen individually, and every fold of loose skin is picked out. This will lead us to unlocking the 4th painting secret that our potato can teach us. Have you felt your potato? It's kind of dry and dusty, or at least mine is. The reason I'm asking you this is because the last secret that our potato can teach us is texture. Texture is incredibly important, and we should learn how to create texture in our miniatures. What makes flesh different to metal? Is the fungal flesh of orcs and squigs different to the flesh of humans or Eldar? To me, The squig for the kill rig has had a hard life, and he's in a pretty foul mood. Just look at that snarl on his face. As a result, I imagine that his skin is tough and calloused in some areas like the feet, spine, and face. You'll find yourself changing the way that you highlight things. So do me a favour here, hold out your hand, and look at the second row of knuckles on your fingers. While your hand is open, the coloration is consistent with the rest of your fingers, creating a softer shift in colour. Now, clench your fist as tight as you can. Really squeeze it shut and look at the same knuckles. Look at how the skin is so much brighter than the rest of the finger. This is because the skin is being pulled tightly around the bones and the blood is being pushed away. You can use this to help you understand how to highlight your squig for different areas of the creature. Where can you see the tight muscles or bones poking out? Then finally, there's one more secret. One that our potato doesn't directly teach us, but it should be in your minds as a result of studying it. Notice how, as we learnt about the potato, we began to look at other things. I mean, we just looked at our own hands for tips on how to paint our miniatures. What you're looking for is to get to a point where you start asking the what if questions. This is creativity at its finest point. When I look at this squig, I see a rhino or hippo. What if I look to them for ideas on how to paint my mini? What if I painted these hooves by looking at an elephant's toes? Once you start asking these questions, you'll have an endless supply of inspiration, and you'll be having all kinds of weird and wacky ideas for even the most despised things that the most hardened and veteran miniature painters avoid like the plague. And if you want to know what that is, watch this video to find out exactly why I love flying bases. But whatever ideas you have, make things, have fun, and I'll see you next time on Cursed Crusader Arts.